Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by the one and only Mr. Sugar Shane Caldwell, known as Detroit Sports Shane. How are you tonight, my man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, we got done watching the NBA slate for tonight. The Game 7 action, literally lived up to the hype. And as we kind of talked about on the podcast yesterday, I thought it was going to be really like a slow-paced, half-court, grinded-out game. And I kind of had a feeling these teams were going to start playing defense finally, which is what happened. They started really putting the clamps on Conley and Murray. They were real physical with Murray, and it really threw those guys off their game. And Conley had a shot to win it at the end, and it was almost in, man. So it was the Jazz really fought, but I think Denver is going to be the best team, especially if they got Gary Harris back. If they can get Will Barton back in the next series, they might be competitive. So I think that'll be interesting.
That was an exciting game. I mean, when you think about it, how often do you see a Game 7 where it comes down to a 3-point shot at the buzzer down 2 to win or lose the series? I mean, you can't get more intense. And that sucker was about halfway down before it popped out.
It was. I think the defense in that game was the most impressive thing. The effort in the fundamentals and the defense was just really good. And I was joking yesterday that the whole series has been Swiss cheese defense, and all of a sudden I said they're going to turn the defense on, and they did finally. So yeah, it was a nice battle there.
It's fun to watch. I'll tell you that. I mean, we've seen some great basketball. I mean, all the distractions, the coronavirus thing, everything going on. They're in the bubble. We're still seeing fantastic basketball. For me, I was just thrilled basketball is back, but I expected it to be a little touch and go. You know, they're rusty. It's just an odd situation. But, oh, man, has it been good basketball. I mean, it's been terrific. So, and we're up. I mean, talking about that, here we're here as we always are the night before on Tuesday night. We're talking about the Wednesday slate for tomorrow, 9-2. And it is 2 incredibly difficult games and 2 super exciting games. You've got a monster pivotal Game 2 with Miami and Milwaukee after Miami knocked Milwaukee out in the first game. So that's going to be super intense. And then you've got a Game 7 again with Houston and OKC. So we are going to dive into this sucker. It is going to be a tough one. I'm just telling you right off the bat, this is a tough 2-game slate, flat out. So let's dive in. Before we do that, real quickly, our presenting sponsors, mybookie.ag. It is the place to go for all of your sports wagering and casino action. Go to mybookie.ag or dfscoachtalk.com. Use the promo code CoachTalk, all one word, no space, and they will match your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. And also tvg.com. It is the place to go for horse racing. And this coming Saturday is the Kentucky Derby, September Kentucky Derby. Very, very weird, but definitely want to jump on. Go to dfscoachtalk.com, click on the banner. You'll see a big flashing banner there that says risk-free $300 bet. And click on that, sign up also with the promo code CoachTalk, all one word, no space, and you get a $300 risk-free Derby bet for Saturday. So go get it. All right, we are diving in. Game 1, it's a 6:30 p.m. game, so 2 great night games tomorrow. So fired up. 6:30 game, Miami Heat, who I picked to win this series against the Bucks. It is recorded before Game 1, happened, but I think the Bucks are going to come out really loaded for bear. This is going to be a great game. And Vegas thinks Milwaukee's still the team. They're -5 in this game. And the over-under is 221. So the $1 million question, Shane, will start the whole podcast out with yes Giannis or no Giannis. What's the word?
I'm on Team Giannis. I'm on Team yes Giannis today. And that would have to put me probably on Team no Harden. And I know that's a very difficult decision, but that's where I'm at. But I'm going to look at this game environment here And I feel like Milwaukee is going to push the pace a little bit more in game 2. They're going to try to get out and run and try to do what they do. They're the fastest paced team in the league, and they played down to Miami's slow pace, and they really got, outplayed in that first game. So they got to change things up and make extreme adjustments, which being a lot more aggressive, which means their leader, Antetokounmpo, is going to be the guy that's going to get aggressive and push the envelope here and get out and run more. And it should mean more possessions and more productivity here. And if it stays competitive throughout, that means Antetokounmpo is going to get a full run with being more aggressive. And I know some people are not wanting to pay up for him because the Bucks haven't been playing good in general. But, if you have Eric Bledsoe out again, that's more shots for Antetokounmpo. That's more usage for Giannis. So
and we're not sure on that news yet. The last check is it's 50-50. It's a hamstring, so it's not like you can wrap an ankle or whatever the case may be. If your hamstring is not feeling right, it's impossible to run full speed. So, they're saying it's 50-50 still, Shane, but I'm thinking more so that he's not going to play. That's just my gut feeling. But we have to watch that news throughout the day.
Yeah, I think it's tough for a little explosive, smaller athlete guy like that just to come back from that hamstring that quick. Definitely. He really relies on that for his explosiveness and his agility. So I don't like him to necessarily get the full run here. I don't know if they're going to try to play him and give it a go, limited or not, but it's hard to trust Bledsoe. Of course, that puts George Hill into consideration. His price is still in that low $4,000 range. So if he's going to get 30-plus minutes, I think he'll have a bounce-back game as well. Because, again, if they're going to pick up the pace, George Hill is going to be running the point a lot of the time or being the shooting guard if Giannis is bringing the ball up or something like that. And he can hit some threes, get a lot of assists, hopefully get some steals, that type of thing. So I like George Hill there. I looked for this to be a little bit faster-paced game than the last game. And then the game 2 that we're going to talk about is a game 7. So that's kind of like I was talking about with the Utah and Denver game. The defense really tightens up in those game 7s. So that might not be quite as good of a game environment, even though traditionally Houston is a really fast-paced team with Westbrook in there. He'd pick up the pace. So anyways, back to the Miami game here. I think you got to like Goran Dragic. If he's going to get, 35-plus minutes, he's the veteran. They're tightening up the rotation. They're relying on those veterans and a good competition, and he's got a good matchup. George Hill's a decent defender, but he's getting a little bit older now. So Dragic played great in game 1, and at $6,800 to $6,900 on DK, he's pretty tough to fade him. I think he's going to be highly owned, but I think you kind of eat the chalk there. Now, Jimmy Butler is priced up to $9,000 on FanDuel. So I don't think it's that bad of a strategy to fade him on FanDuel, especially if you're trying to pay up at other positions here. He's actually pretty reasonable on DK, though, at 8,300. So I look at Jimmy Butler as probably a little bit better play, most likely on DK compared to FanDuel. But you can play him on FanDuel because he still has that huge upside, and obviously he's coming off a monster game. But you might be able to take advantage of fading him if he has an off game in this next game here. So, I guess it just depends on your roster construction. But I think that he's a little bit expensive on FanDuel at 9,000. I do think it might be worth paying up for Adebayo. I don't think Milwaukee's very good at defending against centers underneath there. I know Brook Lopez is okay, but traditionally lately in the last month or so, they haven't been that good at defending centers. They've been getting quite a bit of production there. So I like paying about 8,000 on FanDuel, 7,900 on DK. I like Adebayo. And I like Jay Crowder as a mid-range value guy. He's pretty much starting at power forward or small forward. He kind of goes back and forth. And if he's going to get, 35 minutes or so as well, I think that he can produce, at only $4,600 to $4,700 range there. So I like Jay Crowder because there's not a lot of great value that's going to get that type of minute that can produce. Again, is another one of those guys who can get rebound steals. He can shoot some threes. He's not a great scorer. I'm a little nervous about Tyler Hero. I don't really like him in these tough physical playoff type games because he's a little bit, smaller, kind of finesse type players the way I view him. So I don't really like Tyler Hero that much on the Miami side. And then going back to the Milwaukee side, I think it's definitely worth going back to George Hill if Bledsoe is out. I think you can Chris Middleton's going to be super highly owned. He's still pretty cheap on FanDuel at $7,500. That's almost too cheap. Where on DK, it's 8,100, a little bit more expensive. So I could see someone fading him, make the argument to fade him there. And I do like Brook Lopez as well, 5,700 on FanDuel, 55 on DK. I think he's going to produce as well and going to have to step up in the scoring, and hopefully he can actually get some more rebounds. He's such a stretch center. He likes to just sit out there and shoot threes now that he needs to get more rebounds. That would be nice, but he can get some block shots and that type of thing. So I like him just because he's still cheap and he does have pretty good upside. And then as we discussed, as of right now, which things could change tomorrow as we dig into this slate even more, because the slate doesn't tip off until 6:30 p.m. But as of right now, I like Giannis here. I like Antetokounmpo as the pay up guy here, depending on your roster construction. So that's kind of where I'm at with this game so far.
Yeah, like I said, man, I think you made some great points there. There are a few things. Let me go through some of the stuff I feel pretty good about anyway. For me, the first step is if Bledsoe is ruled out, then I'm going to plug Hill in. I think you have to play him based on the amount of minutes and opportunity they'll get, and in cash games, which is my thing. Even if you have him as a blocker, I think you have to have him in there. If Bledsoe does play and tries to give it a run, he'll obviously not be playable because he can tweak the hammy in a second. He'll certainly be restricted on minutes. But if he is going to give it a go, that will eliminate Hill for me. So I'm hoping Bledsoe doesn't play just to get that one value play in there. It helps definitely with roster construction. So that point is pretty easy for me. I know Middleton's breaking out of his slump. He had a really good game the last go around, but Butler is guarding him. I was correct about the fact that Butler would try to lock him down. It's just Middleton was hot. He outplayed him. Butler did great offensively, but he didn't get the stops on Middleton like I anticipated. So I think Butler, continues to rise up to the challenge here defensively. And I just think at the price tag for Middleton at 8,100 on DraftKings is definitely too high. 7,500 is tempting on FanDuel, but I do believe Butler, can go at him a little bit and slow him down. I don't think he hits as many shots. He had some balls bounce his way. He had some putback baskets. It was just, I think more of a ceiling against Butler than he's capable of. So I'm going to fade that play. As far as the other Milwaukee guys, I have no problem if you do want to pay down and go with Brook Lopez at 5,500. I mean, he's going to get shots, just being out there a decent amount. He'll get some rebounds and probably a block or two. So, I think Brook is a solid option for the Bucks here to fill out a roster, because the center position, you've only got a couple of choices. So, but you got to
especially on FanDuel.
Right. Exactly. So. Yeah, and it becomes real tough on FanDuel in these 2-game slates. There's no doubt about it. So, so Lopez, I believe, is a good option. The rest of the Milwaukee group, I'm not a big fan of trying to play roulette with, who of those guys is going to have a decent game. I think they'll all pitch in, but not enough to make my DFS roster, especially cash lineup. Now it comes back down to Giannis, and I'm going to agree with you here, and I'm going to go with Giannis as well. And if you look at a couple of days ago, we had a fantastic night and really did well. And I faded Giannis, Harden, and Westbrook. I faded all three of them. Went for that medium build with guys like Butler and Paul and Bam, and they all smashed. So it was a wonderful strategy, but everything's changed. And I know I sound like a broken record with this same thing, but it's amazing how much one day changes a slate and the scenario. You take a look at, 2 days ago and my reasoning. It was game one. I thought Giannis was off a little bit. I felt like Miami was going to win this series, and I thought they'd come out and try to pop Giannis in the mouth and just hold him down a little bit, which they did a decent job of. He was in a little foul trouble. He got a little flustered. But this game's completely different. It's game 2. Milwaukee does not want to go down 0-2. And I think Giannis comes out more focused. I think he gets a little bit extended run because there's no way they want to go down 0-2. And I think you saw a floor game for him last time out. So I just feel like, I know 11-4 on DraftKings is a hard pill to swallow, and 11-5 on FanDuel. But, it's going to come down pretty much for everybody's going to have to make the decision. Team Giannis or Team Harden. And it's that simple. You got to play one of these guys. I don't see a lineup that you can build if you play both, unless you're really, really digging at the bottom of the barrel for your last few guys. So I'm with you, man. I believe Giannis steps up. I'm talking 70 some fantasy point kind of night, and I just think he's going to be a necessity in your cash games. You don't want to sit there after this game and then all of a sudden, you're thinking, oh my God, I got to get 85 fantasy points from Harden to catch up and make that difference with, what Giannis did. So I think he's a great play. I think Middleton reducing a little bit. If Bledsoe sits again, the onus falls on Giannis's shoulders. And if he gets the ball in the open court, just face it, you can't stop the guy. So I think they'll try to get it to him in space more than they did the last time. And I think he's a great place to start. So, as far as the Miami side goes, I think Butler also had somewhat of a ceiling game, and his salary just went up too much for me to even consider. Dragic at that price, the minutes he's getting and how well he's playing is a great play. I'm with you on the ancillary guys, and you know me, I'm a huge Tyler Hero fan. But right now they're sort of divvying that up between Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn's back in the mix, and then you have Hero. They're bringing Iguodala and different guys off the bench. So there's a lot of minutes being eaten by a lot of players there, and that's by Spoelstra's design. So I don't want to dig in on any of those guys. I do agree with you, and we're pretty much on the same page here, but I think Crowder is another good consideration again, because they need his defensive presence and his physicalness out there. So I think he is certainly a guy that is priced right. 4,600 on DraftKings, really allows you some flexibility for sure. And he's 4,700 on FanDuel. So I'm with you on that play. Bam is going to be the question mark for me. I haven't made the decision yet on, I'm going to go one of two ways. I'm either going to roster Lopez, use that salary in the Houston game, or I'm going to sit Lopez and go up to Bam and have to go with a little more value on that secondary play in the second game. So tune in on Twitter. Follow us there. You can follow us at DFS Coach Talk. All of us post on there. I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. He is at DET Sports Shane, and Andrew is at Language Olympic. Or jump in our Discord. This is a great time to become a member of DFS Coach Talk. Today, which it's actually the second now, it's so late, but yesterday, technically 6 minutes ago, we launched our fall special that runs from September 1st to the end of December. So you get 4 months. It's our football special that we're running, and it's $199, and it gets you full access to everything. We don't just offer one sport. We give you everything that we offer, full Discord, all of our lineups, everything that we provide. So this is a great time to do it. If you jump in tomorrow, you get all this NBA action. We're absolutely blistering hot in Major League Baseball. We had my man Ozuna go 3 homers tonight. That was really cool. So you can catch all of that stuff and then be locked in for football, which that 9 days from right now, Mr. Shane, is the start of football. Do you
Oh, I
realize
know.
that?
Oh,
9
yeah.
days.
I'm
It's
excited.
it's craziness. So join
Yeah.
us. Go to DFS Coach Talk. If you only want to sign up for a week, just sign up for a week to try us out. I think you'll love it. We have a great group of guys in there. So catch that, jump in, and I'll be sharing that information in Discord on this Bam versus Lopez decision, and it will domino affect 2 other plays for me. So definitely join us in there. All right. We go on to game number 2. Game number 2 is the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets. Game 7. The winner goes on and the loser goes home. The Rockets are a 5.5-point favorite, and MyBookie.ag's updated over/under on this game is 218.5. So 2.5 points less than the first game. But I know you've scripted this to be similar to this game 7 we saw tonight. Let me hear what you got on this Thunder Rockets game. Obviously, no Harden for either one of us, which is painful.
Yeah, I think that in terms of the game environment, this series and the last 2 games has been a pace up, which is normal for Houston once Russell Westbrook came back. Westbrook does really push the pace, and he really affects the entire game environment. So it is a good game environment in terms of pace, but I feel like that it's going to be more they're going to play a lot tougher defense here, and they're going to really try to take some of these superstars, including Harden, out of it more. So I think that in a game 7, things are going to tighten up, and you will see a little bit more half-court play, even though Westbrook is going to push the pace a little bit more. It's not going to be, bad defense with the high pace, which would be the ideal fantasy environment. So the environment is kind of neutral because of those things. Where the first game, I think they are really tough defensive teams, but I think Milwaukee's really going to push the pace, and it's going to be a little bit more open with the way that game's going to go. So, but yeah, this is still a really good game to target. I like some of the value guys here, probably more than paying up, especially if we're not paying up for Harden. Some of the mid-tier and value guys. So Chris Paul played excellent. I mean, he really showed his veteran presence and was just a complete technician that last game.
Incredible.
Completely brought them back and saved their season, really, so that they could go to game 7. So you really can't discount Chris Paul. The problem is he's 8,200 on FanDuel and DraftKings. Yeah. And with your roster construction, can you get that to him at 8,200? And he's not the type of guy. He is such a distributor and pretty unselfish. He kind of had to take that game over last game, but I think he'll try to get other people involved. So for that reason, I don't think it's worth paying up for 8,200 for Chris Paul, even though he's obviously he's probably a better real life player than a fantasy player. That's the thing about Chris Paul. I do like for OKC, I do like Dennis Schroeder here. Dennis Schroeder is only $6,000 on FanDuel and $6,400 on DraftKings. And I think that he had kind of a poor shooting game the last game. And I think they're going to look for him to score more. Where last game, Gallinari was kind of getting off and got hot scoring. I think that they're going to look for Schroeder to get hot here again. And I think that he's going to have oxygen, score quite a bit, and fill up the stat sheet. So I like him, especially at that price. Steven Adams is in that $5,500 range. I don't know that I love Steven Adams. He's decent, but it just seems like it's not that great when they're playing small ball. I think one strategy is you can go down there and get him in the post, and I think that works, but it just doesn't seem to consistently work enough with this more fast-paced small ball type environment. So I don't love Steven Adams. I'd probably rather go to Adebayo or Brook Lopez here. And then you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA. He didn't really look great last game, and he's $7,100. So I don't really see him breaking out and having a ceiling game here. So it's possible, but I'm not really loving him, and I'm not really trying to go back on the recency bias of Gallinari here and try to jump on the Gallinari bandwagon at that $6,000 range. There is a value play in Darius Baisley. He was another one of those kind of guys in the bubble play-in games who was kind of a star when he got run, super athletic. He can score. He can do a little bit of everything. He's really lengthy and he's definitely explosive, and he's only 3,600 on FanDuel or 3,900 on DK. So if you absolutely need to go down to value there, he's been getting some minutes, and can produce in the short amount of time if he gets like 20 minutes. And it looks like they do, especially with this being small ball and him being more quick, kind of a fast paced kind of guy. So I like Baisley as a value play if you need that type of value. And then on the Houston side, I think we're still, at least I am still on fade Russell Westbrook mode. He's 8,800 on FanDuel, 8,900 on DK, and it's really hard to pay around 9,000 for him, and he doesn't seem to show the ceiling. We were talking earlier, and I look at Westbrook as a guy who really excels on athleticism and his conditioning, and I don't feel like he has that right now. He's not getting any younger. I don't think he's running at full capacity in terms of his conditioning and his athleticism right now. And that's what he relies on, because it's not like he's a lights out shooter. So because of that, I don't think he's worth paying up for. James Harden, I think, would be a great play, but if you're trying to play Antetokounmpo, you're probably not going to be able to play Harden. Harden is still capable of taking over the game and having a good game, but I feel like the usage and the distribution of shots is a little more spread out now, because you got Eric Gordon taking shots. You got a lot of other guys taking shots here, so including Westbrook, who's handling the ball more. So that's why I don't like Harden quite as much, even though he's still a decent play. I really do like Robert Covington here. He seems to be playing a little bit better now, and he's still in that $6,000 range. So I think Covington is definitely a great play. You can even take a look at PJ Tucker at center, because he's only $4,800 on FanDuel and $4,500 on DK. PJ Tucker seems to be playing pretty good. Let's see how many of those corner threes he can hit. He sits over in that corner and just drills those threes all day.
Amazing. Yeah.
And you have to leave him wide open, because you got to try to stop Harden in the lane, right? Yeah. In Westbrook. So he just sits over in that corner, hits him. But he gets a lot of, rebounds and defensive stats, because he's pretty much there.
He's such a scrap, man. And he's small. He's so small. It's amazing.
He's strong. Yeah, that's the thing. He's not that big, but he's strong, him and Covington. And then Daniel House has been playing pretty good, too. He's $5,000 on both sides. If he gets up plus 30-plus minutes at $5,000, I think he's playing pretty good. So I don't mind Daniel House. I don't know if he's going to be a core play, but I don't mind him. And that's kind of where I'm at here. Maybe you have some other guys that here, or maybe you kind of agree with some of these. But what are you thinking for the OKC Houston game here?
Summer is here, and sports are finally back, which can only mean one thing. It's time to get back, relax, and make some cash. Everyone has to start somewhere, which is why you want to get off on the right foot by choosing an established book like MyBookie.ag. With all the major sports seasons just around the corner, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. Dynamic betting lines and a simple-to-use platform make the process easier than it's ever been. Create your account in just a few easy steps. Deposit and begin placing your bets. Sign up now using promo code COACHTALK to get your deposit matched 100% all the way up to $1,000. Plus an extra $25 free play. That's promo code COACHTALK. Use it to score yourself an extra piece of the pie. With MyBookie, you bet, you win, and most importantly, when you win, you get paid.
Well, we're more on the same page tonight, than we have been in a long time. I think our lineups are going to be pretty darn similar. I really do. I like a ton of your takes here. I agree with you on, I think Westbrook probably came back too soon. I don't think he's right. I don't think he's 100%. It is a game 7. He's going to get out there for a lot of minutes. And the amazing thing is, we spent most of the season before the shutdown of Harden and Westbrook being about the same price. And it's just mind-bending to me to look at DraftKings, and Westbrook is $2,300 cheaper than Harden. You got Harden at 11.2 and Westbrook at 8.9. So, I mean, for the Westbrook fans that think he's got something to prove, I'd say go for it. I just don't feel comfortable. He was an easy fade for me in the first 2 games, but the last 2 games, but this game, he's Westbrook. I'm sure he's going to show up, but, still 8,900. It's not, it's super value. So I'm not going to go there. I don't think he's 100% either. He did have an atrocious game the last time out, but, he's going to have the ball. He's certainly going to do some good things. but I'm not going to go that direction either for basically the same reason you're not. I think Paul is priced up too high at 82 on DraftKings, and on FanDuel he's up to 82 as well. Yeah, and I just not real comfortable with that. I think that last game was his ceiling game. He was awesome, no doubt about that, but I just don't want to go there. I think the easy plays to me that make the most sense, and I'm with you, I'm going to probably go from Paul down to Dragic, especially if I use Bam in that first game. I'm going to need that salary back, with Dragic over Paul. I think Schroeder's a great play at 6,400. He this last game, he definitely had an off game, and then he was thrown out of that game before, which was ridiculous. I think he's been their go-to scorer. I don't like Shea at all at 7,100. He's had a terrible series. Game 5, he turned it around a little bit, but in Game 6, they opened up with Westbrook guarding Shea, which it was like death to Shea. I knew he was in deep trouble, and he had a horrible game. So I think they'll continue to try to shut him down. But Schroeder is explosive off the bench. I think he's a great play. I like Covington over Gallinari. They're similar prices. And, I've had Covington and Gordon. This will be the 7th game in the series. I've had both guys. I don't think they've missed value. I think Covington did maybe in game 2, but I think they both made value. Now, they both, eased up in pricing the whole way, but they've both just done a great job. So I love both of those guys again. So my Houston exposure is gonna be Covington and Gordon. And then on the OKC side, I think that Schroeder is a strong play. And then, I'm deciding whether or not I need to go down to either Dort or Bazley. You have Dort at 4,000 and Bazley at 3,900. I know Dort can't shoot everything else, but he hustles his tail off. He gets some rebounds and putbacks and a few blocks and everything. And they're going to have him out there guarding Harden a lot because he physically can at least match up to him. So, either way, I've been a big Bazley guy all along because I think he's going to be a really good player down the road. And they're starting to trust him a little bit more in there, to get some stuff done, in the paint, and he can square up and shoot the three. So, Dort or Bazley, one or the other, I think is playable if you need that value. And that's going to be about it. My exposure on the big salaries are going to be more so in that first game, and then I'm going to try to even it out with a couple of the secondary players from both of these teams. But I think Schroeder could be the top scorer, DFS scorer in this game overall for OKC, and I think he could be a difference maker. So I'm definitely high on him, and I think he's got something to prove, and I think he steps up and has a good one. So, that gives you an idea of my roster construction and sort of the way I'm looking at it. Again, a few decisions need to be made that could pivot a guy or two, but it's a tough slate. I mean, these two games, when you're talking about a game 2 where Milwaukee feels like they've got to win it, and a game 7 flat out, I think, that's where you've got some tough decisions there. But it's going to be a fun slate, and they're going to be great games to watch. That's for sure. So, that's pretty much where I'm at.
I guess I'm trying to figure out, does OKC trust Bazley, a young guy like that, in a game 7? He's gotten 25 and 22 minutes the last 2 games, and he's had on FanDuel 27 and 22 fantasy points on FanDuel, which would make him in a smash spot at only $3,600 on.
I think they do, and here's the reason why I think that. When he comes into the game, this last game, he made a marked difference when he came in. Their speed went up, their athleticism went up, and let's face it, when they have Dort and Adams and some of these guys that are clunky out there, they need somebody to spread the floor and move the ball. And he definitely made a difference. And I guarantee you that Donovan goes to him a decent chunk here. I really do.
Especially since the pace is higher with Westbrook in there now running
Exactly.
the
And he's
show.
got, you need that athleticism. And here's the other thing. When you're a rookie like that, if the pressure's not on you, like Shea came into this, they needed him to be their top scorer. And that's a lot of pressure for a young guy that's never been in that position. But when you're like a Baisley, you're coming off the bench, anything you give is a bonus. You just play free. And that's how he's playing. He's just coming in and just going. And I think that in the sense of him being younger, that will be, beneficial for him. He's not going to overthink it. He's just going to come in, run the floor, and be athletic. So
if he gets over 20 minutes again, yeah, he's way too cheap, and that allows you to get up to Antetokounmpo, but still have some other solid plays and not have to go too crazy on the other value spots. So I think Baisley could be a pivotal play here if we feel like he's going to get the minutes again.
And I'll tell you, what I have found to be the trend, and again, every slate is completely different, but slate trend is if you try to pay up for 3 guys in the top 7 or whatever that are really expensive, and you're forced to buy down on at least 2 guys that you're just desperate for them to get 15 or 20 fantasy points, it's not working out too well. But if you can just pay up for one specific guy in particular in that top 7, like for example, I'll just tell you right now in DraftKings, you have the top 7: Giannis, Harden, Westbrook, Butler, Paul, and Middleton. I'm not going to anybody but Giannis there. And that's my reasoning is I want to have that medium build with all the guys that I can afford now in the middle, like the Bams and Dragic and Covington and Gordon. So this way you're not, because there's going to be guys, I guarantee you, there's going to be guys that try to force in Giannis and Westbrook or Harden and Butler and Paul, and they're going to have to fill out their lineups with House, Duncan Robinson, Dort, Baisley, and make, all of a sudden 2 or 3 guys of them have to come through for you. And, you got to look at, yes, I get it. The guys I mentioned, Giannis, Harden, Westbrook, those guys could get 70 fantasy points. But let's say you get 2 of them in your lineup. They both score 70. But you get 2 guys like a Dort and, somebody else, Olynyk, or somebody's going to try to get a value play on, and they both get 10. I mean, it just completely destroys your 70. So, don't be afraid for that medium build. I mean, I've had some really good success with it. I contemplated fading Giannis and Harden and going with that full medium build, but just in a game 2 that Milwaukee has to win, and in a game 7 with Harden, I mean, you got to roster one of those dudes. I mean, I would assume they're both going to smash, but you can overcome one of them smashing that you don't have, but you could never overcome both.
Yeah, you're going to need those raw points, even if they, don't always hit the smash value on $11,500. But you're going to need that 65 point to 70 point, raw points at some point. But you can't also have duds in your value spots as well. So you got to pick the right guys that could have a role and that are fitting the pace of the game and, the strategy of the game and what we think these coaches are going to do and what the game environment's going to do. So we brought up the Baisley example of this could be a faster paced game with Westbrook in there, and that Baisley has been getting more run and looked good in that environment. So that looks good, So I think we have some good things to start with here with this slate, and I think that it's going to be a good slate for us to gain an edge here.
And remember, you got to follow us tomorrow on Twitter or become a member, jump in Discord. There's no doubt that Bledsoe news is going to make things change for me, because if I'm plugging Hill in, it opens some things up. If not, then it shuts things down a little bit on a few areas. So we need to follow that news. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, do us a huge favor. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the little alarm there that's going to let you know when our podcast post. That really helps us out tremendously on YouTube. So we bring these to you 7 days a week in front of the paywall, and we're going to break things down as much as we possibly can. But we definitely really appreciate when you give us that thumbs up. If you're listening to us audio wise on any, we're everywhere podcasts can be found. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, iHeart, Stitcher, we're everywhere. So if you do have a chance to see us or listen to us, on any of those, and you can give a quick thumbs up or a quick 5-star and a couple of word, good job, or we love the info. We really, really appreciate that as well. Again, all of those things help with the algorithm to help move us up and search, when people are searching for DFS type of content. So we do really appreciate that. We'll be announcing tomorrow on the show live the winner of our contest for the iTunes posts. So we've got a good pool that we're going to draw that out of a randomizer to see who wins the 1-month membership. So definitely join in tomorrow. I want to thank our two sponsors, mybookie.ag and tvg.com. You can go to our website, dfscoachtalk.com, and use the code Coach Talk, no space, all one word, and you get fantastic offer from both of them. You can also see us on Instagram, DFS_Coach Talk. And obviously, hopefully you're watching us here on YouTube. If you want to go back, and I want to mention this again today, being that it's, 9 days till the NFL, we've done a podcast on every NFL team as a preview, and it's in our library. Just go to DFS Coach Talk on YouTube, and you'll see our library. The guys did a fantastic job. The only one I got to do was the Cowboys, so you want to listen to that one first. But yeah, they're all there, and they're great. The guys do a great job. So, all right, man, I think we can wrap this sucker up. I'm excited for these two games tomorrow, though. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. A game 7 plus like an awesome Eastern Conference battle between these two teams, and it's really exciting to have these two games. And it's kind of nice just to have two games in terms of the viewing. Just you kind of just watch those two games at night and how competitive they are, and and it's really fun to have. We went a long time without sports, so to have these games at the highest competition and so many stars and so much at stake, it's very exciting,
It really is. And by the way, I think we look pretty darn dapper today with our matching gray hats and the matching Coach Talk black polos. Look at that. We got the memo tonight for sure.
We're ready. Yeah, and to anyone out there, you definitely want to sign up now because we're on fire with all the sports we're doing now. But once NFL starts, we're going to add another thing there where Andrew and I are going to be crunching it and putting out so much awesome content and lineups on for all slates in NFL. And we've already done so much research, and we're doing a lot of research now, and it's going to be really good for NFL, which is the most popular fantasy sport. So definitely get in the action right now and join a member. Go to dfscoachtalk.com because you're going to have access to NFL, NBA, PGA, MLB, everything all at once for one low price. So you're going to want to get in on the action because it's going to be awesome.
It is, man. This is fantastic to go from no sports a short time ago, having to get up in the middle of the night to do a little KBO, and now we've got all these main sports going at the same time. This is so much fun, man. I just hope everybody stays safe. I hope they're able to continue to pull it off, health-wise for everybody. So far we're, knock on wood, we're going okay. So we got to keep it going that direction. But all right, man, I appreciate it. Great job. Excited for tomorrow. I think we had a lot of similar takes, so hopefully that gives everybody a foundation to build off of, and then just follow us. Like I said, tomorrow do the process where you check out the pod, follow us on Twitter and in Discord, and then make sure you're with us the final 30 minutes before lock because news like Bledsoe we may not get until that final 30 minutes. It may be true game time decision. He may go through warm-ups, etc., and we don't want another Porzingis type situation. So, be with us all the way up until lock, so we put the best and most competitive lineup out there for you. All right, my man. I appreciate it. Great job. Remember, our charity of choice here is mambaon3.org. That's MAMBAONTHREE.org. It is a wonderful charity set up by the Bryant family. All right, we will catch you again tomorrow. Tomorrow is our doubleheader Wednesday. We have a PGA podcast for the big final, the final 30, going to Atlanta for the PGA. So that's really exciting. We'll be doing that tomorrow. And then, of course, our normal 7-day-a-week NBA podcast. So appreciate everybody spending some time with us. Stay safe and healthy out there. And for my entire DFS Coach Talk team here, especially Sugar Shane Caldwell and Andrew Hansen, I am Coach. We will catch you again tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.